Thank you very much, Director. First and foremost, let me say that I'm delighted that I could join the last part and hear Mr. Saad deliver a very powerful communique from the civil society organizations. As you know, the bank has been doing everything possible to make sure that we work very closely with civil society organizations. Civil society organizations are actually closer to the people. They're right there where the people are. They live with them every single day. They hear their issues and their challenges. And therefore, we as a multilateral financial institution must be very sensitive to feedback that we get from the civil society, and we are. And that's why when I became president of the African Development Bank, first in 2015, I said, we must have a civil society organization as a department that allows us to engage with civil society and the communities. You know, whenever you do a project, it has to be well understood. And I'm glad that when you were talking about the issue, sorry, what's the name, please? Monsieur, Dr. Mitiga was talking about, you know, that we are now together, you know, because you can have differences of understanding, perceptions, why certain things are being done, why it needs to be done well. And therefore, we need to make sure we understand each other so there is no miscommunication and misunderstanding. But one thing is very clear, we are all working for Africa. We're working to make sure that poverty is not going to be our comparative advantage. To make sure that our resources, whatever they are, whether it's forest resources, biodiversity, whether it is water, whether it's agriculture, whether it is energy, whatever it is, that those resources are used well and managed in the interest of our people, in the interest of our population, because, you know, poverty is not tradable on the global market, so we shouldn't be doing anything to raise poverty. We should be trying to eliminate poverty by using our resources well. But we also must be able to listen, parce que ce n'est pas simplement une question de, nous avons un programme, voilà les programmes, il faut écouter les situations, il faut s'engager avec les populations. S'il y a les craintes quelque part, hein, il faut tenir ça en compte. Hein. On ne peut pas dire, voilà, la route est toujours droite, mais si c'est droit, même si ça va te tuer quand même, il faut aller droit. Non, ce n'est pas comme ça. On ne peut pas faire comme ça. Non. Je pense que la situation de la confiance, c'est très, très important. Vous pouvez être rassuré qu'en tant que la Banque africaine de développement, on ne fait pas que simplement faire les choses qui seront pour le bien de notre continent et notre population. Moi, en tant que président, il n'y a pas les choses qui m'engagent, c'est que je ne peux pas accepter qu'on minimise, c'est ça, non? Minimise les choses qui concernent l'Afrique. Avec une population de 1,4 milliard de personnes, notre intérêt, notre objectif doit être pris en compte, pas parce que on va vous écouter parce que vous êtes 1,4 milliard. Non, 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 non. On a le droit pour ça. Si on prend par exemple la situation de l'énergie renouvelable, on est doté de solaire, géothermique, éolienne, doté avec le hydro. Mais il faut travailler sur ça. Il faut quand même, Dieu est bon. Il nous avait donné le soleil quand même gratuit, hein? Mais pourquoi on peut expliquer qu'il y a 600 millions de personnes qui n'ont pas accès à l'énergie? Mais je pense que dans la jour de jugement quand même, il y aura beaucoup de jugement quand même si on ne fait pas beaucoup d'attention sur ça. Aujourd'hui, nous avons 900 millions de personnes qui n'ont pas accès à faire la cuisine avec l'énergie propre. Mais comment ça? You know, my own way of looking at things is I write down the things I am ashamed of and I do the opposite. It is not acceptable to have 600 million people, Africans, in the 21st century without energy. No. It's not acceptable that we are losing 300,000 women every year for trying to cook a decent meal. It's not acceptable that 300,000 children are dying on their backs just because their mothers are trying to cook. This is the 21st century. If you live in Europe, you turn on the gas, you put your thing. If you're in Africa, the women go to the forest. They collect firewood. They put it down, charcoal. Their backs are like that. Their babies on their back. They collect water. They collect everything, only to cook a meal. Why is that? And that's why just after this event, I encourage you to stay, because we are going to be talking about that particular issue. And so when you see us talking about defending Africa's interest in using natural gas, I want to be sure we are understanding each other. Let me explain it, because I need you to really understand it with us. The total amount of budget that you are allowed to emit that is aligned to Paris is 400 gigaton of carbon, okay, left in the world. The developed countries they've used up more than 4,000 gigaton of carbon. There's only 400 gigaton of carbon left. But we only have 3% of energy, of emissions. So we need a little bit of room to grow. We as a bank today, we devote 87% of all our financing to renewable energy, you know? And we are building today in the désert to power dans les pays sahéliens, ce qu'on appelle désert à l'énergie. Une initiative avec 20 milliards de dollars d'investissement qui va donner accès à l'électricité pour 250 millions de personnes, 11 pays. Quand on va terminer, ce sera les plus grandes zones solaires au monde. C'est fait par la Banque africaine de développement avec les autres. I thought you'd be happy about that. Yeah. We have in Kenya the wind, Lake Turkana, which is the largest wind power mill. We have in Morocco, Nu Wazazate, which is the largest concentrated solar power plant in the world. So we will continue to invest. In Pandakuwa, I was there with Mozambique. We are going to help them to develop that. But I want to be clear, it is not possible for Africa to use variable energy, which is always like this, to industrialize. And no region of the world has ever tried that. So don't try what others haven't tried. Africa needs to have natural gas to allow it to have a stable grid. And that stable grid is what's going to allow our industries to have access to electricity, to be able to create jobs for us and transform. Now, we all agree about just energy transition, okay? We agree. But don't forget the following. Paris Accord, when it was being done, a lot of Africans didn't want to sign. Il y avait le président Hollande, qui était le président à l'époque. Il a envoyé 2 fois l'avion militaire de m'amener à Paris pour avoir les discussions avec les négociateurs qui négocient pour l'Afrique. Et il avait dit, il y a 3 choses qu'on doit faire. D'abord, il faut qu'il y ait le financement qui va soutenir la transition. Deuxièmement, il faut les technologies. Et troisièmement, il faut le temps. Si on dit transition, ça veut dire que je suis ici et je vais là-bas. Mais il ne faut pas me dire, je tiens la lumière et je fais comme ça et le monde change. Non, 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 c'est pas ça. Il faut être réaliste. So I want you to know, as civil society, when you hear us at the bank talking about this, what we are saying is, if Africa today were to use all of its natural gas to do three things. We need fertilizers, we need stable grids, we need clean cooking energy solutions for our women. If we use our natural gas for that, you know how much we will have added to global emissions? Anybody knows? Less than 0.6%. Less than 0.6%. So Africans are not going to die green. We love green, but we want to be wealthy green, not being poor green. And so I want the civil society to really understand that this is in Africa's interest. President Macky Sall talks about it. I talk about it. We are very passionate about this particular issue. No woman in Africa should ever die for just trying to cook a decent meal when we know that liquefied petroleum gas can give them a decent way of cooking. Look, development is about dignity. Let us develop with that dignity. I also want to say one other thing, which has to do with the issue of carbon, for which I need you to support our direction. You see, the world today is doing carbon offsets. So somebody is polluting somewhere, and then look somewhere to do some carbon offsets and buy carbon. Question, what price is the carbon? And it's a market where the buyer dictates the price. You have no choice than to take the price. Mais parce qu'on n'est pas riche, il ne faut pas nous prendre comme ça là. We have to make sure that it's in our interest. I'll tell you why. You remember many years ago, maybe a couple of 2 decades ago, when many nations didn't have access to land to produce food. They came to Africa to buy land. You remember? Large areas of land were taken over. Civil society rose up because they called it land grab. Arrache the terre, no? Yeah. You take the land. Today, you have a lot of rich countries that are coming to Africa and buying up half of a country, almost the whole country, because of carbon. That is carbon grab, okay? Because of 4 reasons. First one, the price you're getting is nothing. You are losing your land. The carbon that is sequestered there no longer belongs to you. And you can never use that carbon again as part of your own nationally determined contributions. So it is lose, 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 and lose some more. And the last thing I want to say, when I was a kid, growing up, my mother used to sell me to go and sell things in the market. And she used to ask me to put it on my head. When you get over there, she told me, how you present yourself, what you are selling, is how they are going to buy it. If you say, I have a bad product, they will not pay you anything. If you say you have a good product, then they will probably pay attention to you. I learned from that time that how you value yourself is the value others place on you. And I'm saying this because of the environment, because I am very concerned. Africa today has the Congo Basin that is vast, bigger than the Amazon. Everybody talks about the Amazon. Amazon is not as huge in carbon sequestration as Congo Basin. Le bassin de Congo, là. Mais si on dit on est le bassin de Congo, qui est le poumon de le monde, qui donne un service global pour la séquestration de carbone. Mais où est l'argent? Rien. And it's very important because even the way you measure wealth is called GDP. C'est PIB, non? Produit intérieur brut. Gross domestic product. But gross domestic product is the wrongest measure of wealth because it was done during Industrial Revolution when everybody was emitting massively. You can grow at the expense of everybody else. What matters is the value of your goods and services, not how you produce it, not the externalities that you have, not the negative impact that it has. You are rich while others continue to be poor because of your emissions. That's why we are here. And therefore, what we have to do, and I need your understanding, is to remeasure the wealth of Africa, green wealth of Africa, based on our forest land, based on our mangrove, based on our peatlands, based upon the value of carbon that we sequester. And that changes the gross domestic product of Africa, taking into account the natural capital that Africa has. Because why should Africa be rich in nature but poor in cash? That's because, like my mother told me, we are not valuing ourselves properly. And so we at the African Development Bank have decided that on va commencer de faire la réestimation de notre richesse en tant que continent en prenant en compte la valeur de la capitale naturelle de l'Afrique, nos forêts, tout cela et notre carbone. Dans ce cas, si la ratio de la dette avec le PIB réestimé, ça veut dire que mon PIB réestimé avec la valeur de carbone monte, n'est-ce pas? Et le ratio de dette par rapport au PIB réestimé qui tient en compte notre chose baisse. Et si ça baisse, ça veut dire qu'on peut, Monsieur le ministre, on peut avoir plus de ressources pour l'Afrique, pour investir vert. So we will be making ourselves richer by better valuing our wealth stock. That's where I want to end, by just telling you that I need you to help us. My senior economist, chief economist is there. Please stand up. I would like you to understand that this is what we are doing. We want to be richly green. We don't want to be poorly green. And therefore, we are going to change that. We are going to do a lot of work. I need you to be the vuvuzelas in Africa. It's green wealth. Parce que on ne doit pas et on ne peut pas mourir vite. On doit s'enrichir avec ce que Dieu nous avons donné là. On va nous prendre comme Dieu, on se prend, estimer notre patrimoine bien, estimer notre forêt bien, pour qu'il y ait beaucoup de transformation de notre continent. On a besoin de vous. Merci beaucoup pour votre soutien en tant que société civile. J'ai noté toutes les choses que vous avez dit. Donc, on va continuer à travailler avec vous. Merci pour votre engagement. And I want us to stand because I'm closing. I want to thank all the folks that did this, but I would like you to please stand with me. Just stand, yeah, please, yeah. Now, and I'm asking you to stand because of a reason. We cannot walk alone. We cannot do it alone. If you live in an African village, you have a baobab tree. It's big. If you put your hand around it, you can't do it. Mais s'il y a la main que vous faites comme ça, autour de le bois de baobab, ça marche. Donc, so please hold somebody next to you. Yeah. And the baobab challenge of Africa. And repeat after me. Ensemble. On va gagner. Pour l'Afrique. Together. We win for Africa. Let's do it.